It was supposed to be a typical high-energy episode of The View, with A-list actor Nicolas Cage gracing the panel to promote his latest film. Cage, known for his intense on-screen presence and unpredictable interviews, arrived on set with a surprisingly calm demeanor. The hosts welcomed him with applause, with Whoopi Goldberg leading the greetings. At first, things seemed to go smoothly. The panel asked him lighthearted questions about his eccentric roles, past performances, and the inspiration behind his newest character. Cage was animated but respectful, sharing anecdotes from the set and laughing along with the studio audience. But as the conversation shifted away from acting and into politics and personal values, a signature pivot for The View, the tone noticeably changed. It began when Joy Behar mentioned Cage's past financial troubles and questioned how he managed to bounce back. Cage responded with a self-deprecating chuckle, admitting he had made mistakes. But when Whoopi added, "You've played a lot of wild characters, any of them more stable than your real life?" It was clear Cage was less amused. Nicolas offered a tight smile, leaning forward and replying, "Well, Whoopi, my real life might have had its chaos, but at least it wasn't scripted." The audience gave a mixed reaction. Some chuckled, others murmured in surprise. Whoopi, unbothered, laughed and said, "Come on, Nicolas, you know we love you, but you've got to admit, you've been a bit ... out there." Cage's tone sharpened. "Maybe people who haven't lived through what I have shouldn't be so quick to label me out there. I've lived, I've learned, and I don't apologize for the journey." Sunny Hostin tried to diffuse the growing tension by switching topics to Cage's family and his relationship with his children. But Cage wasn't ready to move on. "I didn't come here to be psychoanalyzed or mocked. If you want an interview, I'm here. If you want to roast me, maybe get a stand-up comic instead." Whoopi raised her eyebrows and replied, "Relax. Nicolas, nobody's roasting you, we're just talking. That's what this table's for, conversation." But Cage wasn't buying it. The moment took a more confrontational turn when Whoopi brought up one of Cage's controversial from a past interview where he discussed his views on fame and identity. She read a quote aloud, "Fame is a cage. I've been trying to escape myself for years." Then she asked, "Do you think that kind of thinking isolates you from reality? Because a lot of people see fame as opportunity, not imprisonment." Cage stared at her silently for a few seconds before replying, "That's the problem. People see the surface, not the price behind it. Being famous isn't the blessing you think it is. It's surveillance, judgment, and constant distortion of who you are," Whoopi retorted. "But you chose that life. You've been acting for decades. You didn't walk away. You kept feeding the machine." Cage's voice rose slightly. "Because art is my salvation, not fame. There's a difference. But it seems like you're more interested in undermining me than understanding me." The studio grew noticeably quieter, the tension thick and unmistakable. Sarah N. stepped in, trying to smooth things over by asking about Cage's love of silent films and whether his newer performances were influenced by that era. Cage appreciated the question and gave a thoughtful answer, but the energy in the room didn't recover. Whoopi wasn't done. She pushed again, this time asking, "So are you saying actors like you suffer more than the regular folks out there? Because that sounds like a luxury problem." Cage blinked slowly, inhaled deeply, and responded, "Suffering isn't a competition, Whoopi. Pain is pain. Whether you're on a movie set or working a 9-to-5, it's real. But when someone's life is constantly dissected by strangers, that creates a whole different kind of pressure." Whoopi folded her arms. "But you're paid handsomely. For that pressure, that's part of the package?" "No." Cage shook his head. "That's a cynical way to look at it. Money doesn't erase the human condition." The back and forth was no longer just an interview. It had evolved into a philosophical argument layered with ego, pride, and deep-seated frustration. The conversation veered into even deeper waters when Whoopi accused Cage of living in a bubble, disconnected from everyday people. "You say all these things about pain and fame, but what about the single mom working 2 jobs? What about folks who can't afford therapy, let alone escape into art?" Cage, visibly upset, replied, "Don't diminish my experience because it's different. I didn't come from royalty. I've had my share of heartbreak, loss, and fear. Just because I'm in movies doesn't make me immune to reality." Whoopi snapped, No one said you were immune. But you're not the only one going through stuff. And maybe you should use that platform to uplift, not sulk. Cage stood up suddenly, pushing his chair back. You know what? I think I've had enough of this. Joy tried to lighten the mood with a joke, but Cage wasn't listening. He yanked off his microphone, tossing it onto the table. This isn't a conversation. It's an ambush. Nice. And with that, he turned and walked off the stage. The audience gasped, some unsure whether it was part of a stunt. The producers quickly cut to commercial, but the damage was done. When the show resumed, Whoopi tried to brush off the incident with a chuckle. Well, I guess Nicolas Cage has left the building. But her face betrayed a mix of irritation and disbelief. The other co-hosts sat stunned, trying to regain the rhythm of the show. Within hours, clips of the altercation flooded social media. The hashtags Nicolas storms off and Cage vs Whoopi trended worldwide. Fans were divided. Some supported Cage for standing up for himself, while others thought he had overreacted. Whoopi's supporters praised her for challenging him, while her critics accused her of goading a sensitive guest. Media outlets picked up the story with headlines like Nicolas Cage explodes on The View and talk show turns toxic. The fallout was immediate and intense, with both camps doubling down. Behind the scenes, the fallout was even messier. According to insider reports, producers had warned the panel not to dig too deeply into Cage's personal struggles, but the directive had been ignored. Some crew members claimed Cage had expressed hesitation before going on air, sensing that the interview might go sideways. Whoopi, on the other hand, was reportedly unapologetic. He wanted to talk truth, she allegedly said. Well, we gave him truth. ABC released a generic statement acknowledging the incident, but offering no apology. Cage's representatives issued a more pointed response. Nicolas Cage went on The View in good faith to discuss his craft. He did not sign up for character assassination. The statement went viral, reigniting the fire. Fans and celebrities began weighing in. Sharon Stone tweeted her support for Cage, while others urged talk show hosts to respect vulnerability instead of exploiting it for ratings. In the following days, Cage canceled a string of promotional appearances, including interviews with other major networks. He was spotted at an art museum in Los Angeles, reportedly seeking refuge from the media frenzy. Meanwhile, Whoopi addressed the controversy on a later episode of The View, standing by her actions. I ask questions. That's my job. If a guest can't handle that, maybe talk shows aren't the place for them. Her comments drew even more fire from those who felt she had crossed a line. A growing number of viewers began criticizing The View for becoming increasingly combative with guests, questioning whether tough interviews had become an excuse for conflict-driven content. The incident sparked a broader conversation about mental health, artistic sensitivity, and the limits of public scrutiny. Cage remained silent, allowing the storm to rage without further comment. Despite the controversy, interest in Cage's new films surged. The trailer was replayed across platforms, and ticket pre-orders saw an unexpected spike. Industry analysts noted that while the argument may have bruised egos, it ultimately boosted publicity. Still, questions remained. Would Cage ever return to daytime talk shows? Would The View change its approach to interviews? A week after the storm, Cage finally broke his silence in a short video posted to his personal page. I believe in authenticity. I believe in speaking your truth. But I also believe in respect. Both sides. What happened on that stage wasn't respectful, and I won't pretend it was. His words were calm but firm, drawing praise from fans who appreciated his directness. Whoopi did not respond directly to the video, but made a veiled remark on air. Some people prefer monologues. Over conversations? That's fine. But don't call it an ambush just because you didn't like the questions. In the end, the explosive episode became one of the most talked about moments in recent talk show history. It served as a stark reminder of how quickly a conversation can spiral when egos clash and mutual respect falters. For Nicolas Cage, it reaffirmed his reputation as a passionate and unpredictable figure, unwilling to be boxed in. For The View, it exposed the risks of pushing too hard under the guise of keeping it real. Audiences remained divided. Some craving the raw emotion, others longing for a return to meaningful, respectful dialogue. One thing is certain, that interview will not be forgotten anytime soon. Whether it was a moment of courage or a dramatic overreaction, it revealed more than just the volatility of one guest. It showed the high stakes of live television and the thin line between provocative and personal.